Hello everyone, I am Marlene, one of the pastors here at Pinnacle Village, and welcome to Soulergy Day 14. For the past 13 days, we have journeyed together in prayer, and this brought us to an experience of the power of prayer. You might be a young person in these past few days, you have experienced how it is to pray. Or maybe you have been long in faith and the past few days po became a time of refreshing for you and you were brought back to how prayer becomes a source of delight. Whether everything you've experienced is new or it has been a time of renewing, we realize this past few days that prayer is indeed essential in the life of every follower. Dick Eastman in the book The Hour That Changes the World said, "Prayer is not optional. Where there is absence of prayer, there will be an absence of power. Where there is frequency of prayer, there will be a continuing display of God's power." Yet then again, we are also reminded that we are not just called to pray, but more importantly, we are called to live a life of prayer. We are not only meant to pray in moments of emergency. Sa totoo lang po, sino po ba sa atin, we want to live a life where all our lives, we are always in a state of emergency. No one would want that life. But in His kindness and goodness, God is still our refuge and strength. And in our prayer, we realize that He is our ever-present help in troubles, as Psalm 46:1 would say. One way to experience the power of prayer as shared to us by Paul in 1 Thessalonians 5:17, ang isa pong sikreto to experience prayer as a powerhouse and to experience prayer at its full and best is to pray without ceasing. Today we will be looking at prayer as not only an act, but prayer as a lifestyle. When Paul used the word ceasing, he meant in Greek, ang ibig sabihin po is praying without any interruption. No distraction, it is continuous, you are not interrupted. But maybe you're listening right now and you have this question, this very straightforward question that, what does it really mean to pray without ceasing? How can you even pray when life is filled with distractions? How do you pray an uninterrupted prayer? One reminder for us today is this: to enter an unceasing prayer, you and your prayers must become one. A.W. Tozer in one of his books would say, prayer at its best is an expression of a total life. When one prays, one experiences the best potential and the utmost experience of prayer when he prays with his total life. And it was also mentioned by E.M. Bounds that when one must pray as a whole man. How do we apply this practically po? When we pray and we make prayer our lifestyle, we don't only utter the words, but the words become who we are. For example, when we are praying in the morning and we pray, Lord, give me the patience today. Lord, make me gentle-hearted today. And when you're about to go to your work and there's traffic, at least in the Philippines po, napakatindi po ng traffic ngayon. And sometimes you catch yourself in the middle of the traffic, someone cuts you, and then you remember the prayer you uttered in the morning. Instead of yelling and being angry to the person who cut you, you remember that in that morning, you prayed for a gentle heart and for patience. Prayer, at its best, is the expression of our total life. Unceasing prayer shifts our experience of prayer not only from doing, but to being. We become what we pray for. In 1 Corinthians 10:31 of the easy-to-read version, it says, "So if you eat, or if you drink, or if you do anything, do it for the glory of God." Unceasing prayer means you and your prayers become one. E.M. Bounds in the book The Essentials of Prayer says, The entire man must pray. The whole man, life, heart, temper, mind are in it. Each and all join in the prayer exercise. When one prays unceasingly, he doesn't only do the prayer, he becomes the prayer. It's not that we want to rant to God everything that we experience in life, but being able to bring to God all our cares in every moment and every season of our lives makes us realize that in prayer, we totally surrender to God each day. As Henry Nouwen in his article would say, to pray unceasingly means to reveal everything to God and to not hide anything from Him. To pray unceasingly is to enter a form of surrender, a form of daily, total dependence. The utmost experience of prayer is not only when our circumstances change when we pray, but it is when we are changed when we pray. The second question that maybe is coming into your mind right now is this question: how can we live our life with its many distractions as an uninterrupted or unceasing prayer? For us to be able to live a life of unceasing prayer, the simple answer is pray, pray, and pray. Pray in the morning, pray at night, pray when you are walking, pray when you are running. Even in your singing or in your dancing, pray, pray, and pray. Let's go back to that book by Dick Eastman, The Hour That Changes the World. He said, prayer is much more than mere theoretical power. It is practical power. But to tap this practical power, we must willingly sacrifice much time. There is a man by the name of John Fletcher, a colleague of John Wesley, and many times he would talk about theories on prayer. But the highlight of his teachings were not the theories of prayer. The highlight was when, at the end of his lecture, he would invite his students to come into a practice of prayer, to spend time, an hour or two, to practice what they learned. Because what we do repeatedly becomes who we are. Ephesians 6:18 of the Voice version, Paul reminded again another church, the Ephesian church, in his missionary journey. He said, pray always and pray in the Spirit. Pray about everything in every way you know how. And I like this version po because it says that you can pray in every way you know how. Someone said that prayer is the most basic gesture of our communication with God. Although at times we are limited po and we have hesitations to come to God. But we begin by just coming. Someone said, prayer does to your soul what breathing does for your body. One of my swimming coaches po in the past told me when I asked him the question, what is the secret to be able to finish a race and to hopefully win a sprint? And I was thinking that his answer would be, you have to have faster kicks or you have to have strong strokes, which are very important, by the way. Pero po, pinaalala po niya, he reminded me that the secret really to be able to endure a long race is for one to be able to practice and master the rhythm and the consistency of his breathing. Because only when breathing becomes natural in a race that he's able to endure hardships. It also goes to all exercises, di ba po? When we exercise and we don't breathe, we run out of breath, and then suddenly you just want to give up. Sometimes you do your deep breaths because you forgot the little breaths in between. And prayer is like that. Prayer is not only a gift because God is our ever-present help in times of needs. He is and always will be. But the gift of prayer is that there is power in it when we make it part of our everyday mundane lives. Friends, we are ending Soulergy tomorrow. And maybe some of you will say, you are striving hard to be able to be consistent more and more in your prayer lives. Hopefully, we finish strong, not only this time of Soulergy, but as long as we live. Because prayer is not only an act we do in 15 days at 8 p.m. where you're in the Philippines or maybe around the world, but this is when we are silent. It is when we are in times of talking in a conversation with a friend. It is when we are sleeping or eating that we are able to pray and commune with God. That's how powerful prayer is. And hopefully this is something that we will be able to carry on in the next few days, to allow prayer not only to be part of your life, but allow prayer to be your life.